I said I wasn't going to be live tonight, but hell, we're here anyway. If you made it, I'm happy. If not, it is what it is. You should have made sure that you hit the bell next to the subscribe button. That way you could have made it out. But I told you all at the end of the last live stream, we were going to be getting a $3 schnauzer going soon. So feel like for the warm up today, might as well go ahead, hop in the $3 schnauzer. We are in the 20-second timer version. Again, I've said before, but if you're new to Underdog, I would recommend getting in the 30-second timer drafts. The 20-second ones are going to be a little bit faster. But anyway, $3 20-second schnauzer. Let's go. We are waiting for this to fill, and we're in. We're in. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for helping us out. And yes, surprise stream, huge W. I know I said we weren't going to be live, but it is what it is. We're here, and I have a dinner reservation at 7:45, but we should have about an hour and 40 until we got to get out of here. So, Piona just finished the Dynasty stream. Thank you for being there with me, my friend. Yes, we are live. Nice and blunt. Happy to see you out here. In here at pick 4 with us. LC in here. Chris is as well. Josia, 2 a.m. in Switzerland. Dear God. Go to bed, my friend. Go to bed. You can watch this in the morning. Nick, blessed with the top 6 pick for this Sunday stream. We got our water right here. Don't you worry about it. We're still here. But we got Devin in here with us at pick 8. Jay Realo says, any predictions on who is the steal of the draft this year? Well, let's see where these guys go in this draft, and I'll let you know my favorite pick in a bit. And yes, we are running back the Flock League, of course, and it's going to be bigger and better than last year. Super excited for it. But thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for spending your fine Sunday with me. I hope y'all had a good weekend, and we are off. The team at 1 takes Jamar. May or may not be an auto draft team there at pick 1. They did take that down to the very last second, but we will see this together, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead and move this down. Jefferson goes at 3. Lamb goes at 4, so we are going to be getting a Mr. Bijan Robinson. Now, hopefully that means we have a wide receiver that we like making it to us in the second rounds. We'll see. Vinny says can only do 20 schnauzers, and I'm maxed already. This is my first schnauzer. I think we've only done the puppy drafts. This is our first $3 draft on the stream. And to be honest with y'all, I would have been fine sticking with the puppy drafts, but I know some people in the chat were wanting to get into a $3 draft with us. So I was like, who am I to say no? So here we are. So after we take Bijan, you have Gibbs, Genty, and Puka all going. Malik Neighbors off at pick 9. Lemonade says, did a draft Friday where somebody took Isaiah Likely in round 5? The Ravens should be informed that Isaiah Likely apparently is drafting on Underdog. J-Mo says, have you seen a 101 not be chased this year? Because I haven't. I'm sure in one of our drafts, the 101's been a non-chase team. To be honest with you, I haven't paid close enough attention. The team at 10 goes CMC and Derrick Henry with their first 2 picks. Based off the way the ADP lines up for these guys, I believe since both are typically early to mid second rounders, there shouldn't be too many McCaffrey and Derrick Henry combos in this tournament. I think it should be a little bit rare. Okay, Chris, first live watch, long time follower. Chris been here with us for a while. Amon-Ra St. Brown value is amazing, getting him at the 1-2 turn. Yeah, I have St. Brown ranked ahead of Nico Collins. And I think you can make an argument to take him over Neighbors as well. Let's move this over. So A.J. Brown goes, and this is what sucks about taking Bijan there in round 1. Because now our hand is forced to go ahead and take Achane in the second round. I'm not reaching to take T. Higgins over to Von Achane. I just frankly can't do it. So that's why, honestly, I don't blame the teams in front of us. We got Raphael out here at 3. I don't blame the teams ahead of us to go with like Lamb and Jefferson over Bijan Robinson. Because, I mean, they followed up with Higgins, Garrett Wilson at 21, 22. But in my mind, The last thing I want to be doing is drafting T. Higgins or Garrett Wilson in round 2 this year. So for me, that's why I typically kind of like going with a wide receiver there in round 1. Because I'd rather take, I think Trey McBride outscores Garrett Wilson this season. I'd rather have the tight end. But Vinny says, Vinny's in drafts all the time. Says he's seen Saquon, Bijan, and Gibbs all go at the 101. Let's go. Bug says Nico scares me a bit. Nico scares me as well, but I think I'm just burned from him ruining our BBM team last year in the finals. Nice and Blunt says, really hope you'd give me Achan. Let's see what happens on the turn. Tet McMillan. Raphael, what are you doing going with McMillan there? We will get Tyreek, and I guess we are saying, what if the Miami Dolphins end up being good? What if Tua stays healthy all season and we get a repeat from Miami 2 years ago? And then at that point, obviously, you can make an argument that both these guys crush. But, of course, if you don't know what we're doing, you've been living under a rock. We are drafting on Underdog Fantasy. It's crazy to be drafting this early. I completely agree with you, and you should not be doing your regular fantasy football draft this early. These are best ball drafts, so there's no time commitment at all during the season. Your starting lineup's automatically submitted for you at the end of every week. There are no waiver wires, so you're going to draft extremely deep here. And that's how we're able to draft hundreds of teams every offseason. It's not going to replace your main fantasy football league, but if you wanted to get in a draft with us, we're doing this every single night. You can find the link in the description. You can find it in the live chat. You can find it in the comment section. And if you use promo code FLOCK when you sign up to Underdog, you'll get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Plus, you'll get our 2025 Fantasy Football Draft Guide cheat sheet. And Underdog is available in damn near every state. You can see the map here. They just had to reapply for their New York license, so that New York state is not updated, but everything else should be. But thank you for coming out, everybody. JRZ says, how was I not subscribed? For 3 years, no better fantasy knowledge. My man, nice to see you live. Well, nice to have you out here. And yes, just in case, I will remind people, if you're not already subscribed, it's not too late to fix that. Cale Elliott always out here in these drafts as well, and at pick 12. Thank you so much. I feel like we have a bunch of people from the live stream that got in this draft with us today. Let's move this down. Hampton goes pick 40. For me, I'd way rather have Breece over Hampton in redraft. DJ Moore has been a big time follower if you're looking at ADP trends. For me, because we start running back, and we typically need 3 wide receivers through the first 5 rounds, or that's at least the little rule I put on myself, I am more likely than not going to be taking a wide receiver with our next pick. DJ Moore goes, so we will take Devonta Smith. Taking Smith here does give us the optionality to go Jalen Hurts in round 5 if we really hate the wide receivers that are available to us at pick 53. But I'm completely fine with this team, right? Bijan, Achan at running back, absolute crushers. Tyreek, Devonta Smith at wide receiver. We're still chasing wide receiver points, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't feel too bad. Nick just killed the Dynasty Rookie Draft. Let me know. Give me some deets on that, my friend. Give me some deets. Nicholas, sadly, I lost money on Underdog last year. We lost a little bit. Don't have the exact number here. Here's what I've been meaning to do real quick. Let me pull up my tweet from last year just so I can give y'all the screenshots of how we did, at least in Best Ball Mania, because that's a very easy gauge. We drafted 100 teams in Best Ball Mania, so you can see a very large sample there. But sadly, the high stakes $500 and $1,000 drafts we did, while we had high advance rates, we didn't make the finals there. We made the finals in Best Ball Mania. However, we did not end up advancing. Let me see. So if you look at my teams from last year, this was the tweet from last season. It shows everything. Oh crap, we are on the clock. What are we doing here? Metcalf, Ridley, Waddle. I will take Ridley. I know some people may say to go Waddle because we have the Miami onslaught, but I don't want that. I don't want 3 Dolphins through our first 5 rounds. So here's what it was from last year. We tweeted out screenshots, everything. Looks like we have a real shot to win another underdog tournament. Did anybody advance more than 41 sprint drafts? So we max entered the sprint, which was 2 out of 12 teams advanced as well. And we advanced 41 teams there. So super high advance rate, much higher than expectations. We advanced 34 BBM teams. Again, much higher than average expectations. So our advance rates were super good last year. We got a team to the Best Ball Mania finals. But again, the structure with these tournaments, right, is you either do very well in the finals and win a crap ton of money, or you don't do well in the finals and lose a little bit. At least if you have decent advance rates. If we had bad advance rates, we would have lost a lot. But the having super good advance rates saved us. And we just didn't get lucky in week 17, which we needed. So super proud of our results from last year, even if the technicality of it is we did not win money, which is sad. But we got ourselves within striking distance of winning a couple million, which is all I can ask for. Let's see. Frank says Ridley's a steal. Expect a Terry McLaurin type season out of him. Yeah, I think Ridley is set up, at least out of the wide receivers in this range. I like his range of outcomes a lot more than these other guys. Something that's interesting to note is that team at 2 has gone 3 running backs out the gate, Zay Flowers in round 4, and then decided to follow it up with Jalen Hurts at pick 50. So we'll be interesting to see what happens with their wide receiver picks over the next few rounds. Because I still feel like we may be playing catch up here at wide receiver with Tyreek, Devonta Smith, and Calvin Ridley, even though obviously we've gone a lot harder than maybe that team at 2 has. Okay. Let's move this over. Godwin goes at 63. I've been taking a decent amount of Godwin. If Godwin's healthy, obviously this is a great pick. But again, you can say that about a lot of these guys. You can say that about like Rashee Rice. If Rashee Rice isn't suspended and healthy, Rashee Rice is like the best pick in these drafts. Romadunze goes 65. Judy off. So for me, if I was looking at wide receivers, I'm not even looking at Deebo Samuel in this range. I'd be scrolling down. I think you can make an argument for Sam Laporta. Let's take Kenneth Walker. ADP faller. I don't think there's going to be a ton of combos of Bijan, Achane, and Walker based off where their ADPs line up. I'm not a big Debo guy in this range. Again, that's why we kind of force ourselves to go wide receivers in rounds 3, 4, 5 when we start with the running backs out the gate, because I don't want to be forced to take like Debo, Jawan Jennings, or Ricky Pearsall here. So let's move it. Yeah, I like the start. We'll see. My fear is we're going to get boxed out a wide receiver, and we may end up having to take some really gross wide receivers later on. But on paper, the team's really good through the first 6 rounds, but it's difficult to continue that through the rest of this. Okay. We have Ayuk, Luther Burden going. I will, Raphael, what are you doing, my guy? I would never take Luther Burden here. I considered Laporta in the last round. So if we considered Laporta in the last round, there's no excuse not to take him here at pick 77. Again, I drafted a lot of Sam Laporta last year. ADP round 4. We took him a ton. He had the best rookie tight end season of pretty much all time if you're looking at fantasy points. And he flopped this past year. But if you remember with Laporta, and somebody actually pointed this out in the live stream a couple days ago, and this is something I may need to dive into more, but he came into the season with an injury with training camp. I think it was an ankle. And you see the extremely slow start through the first 10 weeks. But then if you look at the end of the season, you actually have the snaps jump up dramatically. The amount of routes that he was running jumps up dramatically as well. Like, look at the beginning of the season. This is the routes run column. This is on flockfantasy.com. Y'all can pull this crap up whenever y'all want. But you can see like the amount of routes that he was running early in the year was absolutely nothing. And then it was a massive shift in the second half of the season. And then you get the tight end 8 week, the tight end 3 week, the tight end 6 week, the tight end 7 week. Going back to 2023, again, this was the best tight end rookie season of all time until we had Brock Bowers this year. So, I mean, he was the tight end 1 as a rookie. Getting him in round 7 doesn't feel bad. Definitely hindsight 2020. I should not have been taking him in round 4 last year when I was. But getting me pick 77 feels good. Okay. Quarterbacks start going. Our biggest need at this point is wide receiver. But the tough thing will be, look at the players that are available to us at the wide receiver position. And this is what I talked about, saying like, oh, I like our start, but when we only have 3 receivers, and those 3 receivers are Tyreek, Smith, and Calvin Ridley, it's going to be very difficult for us to build out the rest of this team. Like the wide receiver drop off on Underdog is just massive. So even though I like the start, I think the team's going to end up being bad. And we maybe need to reevaluate and figure out like, what do we do differently? Especially with Igbuka gone. I'm sorry, I'm not taking Josh Downs here. It's absolutely crazy for, like, this is a botched team. Like, don't get me wrong. And maybe I just need to have some more discipline and not draft Kenneth Walker there, or not draft Laporta. Like, maybe I just need to suck it up and take George Pickens over Sam Laporta, which in my mind feels horrible, but maybe it gives the shot at this team doing something. As it stands now, running back, we have Bijan, Achane, Kenneth Walker, Brian Robinson. This may be a team where you only draft 4 running backs, which sounds crazy, but we're going to be so far behind at wide receiver points. Wide receiver, we have Tyreek, Devonta Smith, Calvin Ridley. Tight end, we have Laporta. We probably end up having to draft 3 quarterbacks. We can get away with only drafting 2 tight ends because we have Laporta. We're going to have to attack the wide receiver position with quality over quantity and send up a prayer that somehow, some way, Tyreek can get back to his usual self, which probably isn't going to happen. Like, let's be honest with each other. Like, you go and look at Tyreek Hill from last season. Absolutely horrendous. Like, you see the yards per route run drop from 3.87 in 2023 down to 1.91 this past season. So, Julia says Downs was 100% the pick there. Maybe I need to suck it up. Maybe I just need to take Josh Downs. Maybe that's it. But for me, as this comes back around, Caleb Williams, the slider. We don't have any Bears. We're not taking Caleb here. We're too desperate at wide receiver. Like, for me, in comparison to Josh Downs, I would rather have Pittman. Like, looking at the running backs in this round in comparison to Brian Robinson, it's very, very easily Brian Robinson over Najee Harris, Jaylen Warren for me. No question. And Josh Downs versus Michael Pittman, I don't know. I think it's a coin flip. I think it's up to you. So we'll go Pittman as our wide receiver 4. The main concerns with Pittman, of course, is going to be the overall offensive volume being horrendous. At least the passing volume in this offense. But it's the same issue that you have with Josh Downs. So I can go like, oh, Michael Pittman's undraftable because of the quarterback situation, but I really need to take Josh Downs instead. Like, it's tomato tomato. Runner says Downs has more upside. Y'all know, I mean, we won a lot of money on Underdog a couple years back. And that season, a big reason I won it was we identified Michael Pittman as one of the worst picks in the draft when he was going in round 3 when they brought in Matt Ryan. I've had a long history with Michael Pittman here. But realistically, if we are going to look at him, he plays every single game. He does have a finish at 13, 17, and 12 in total fantasy points. And if we're looking at Josh Downs in comparison, like it's not like the efficiency is that much better. 2.21 yards per route run, 4 downs this past year. Only runs 362 routes. So I'm not sitting here and saying like, oh, Pittman is 100% the play over Downs. I do think it's a little bit up to you there. But what I'm saying is I would for sure rather have Brian Robinson over Jalen Warren, Zach Charbonnet, easily. And then Pittman Downs, I think it's up to you. Aleem says, brother, can you do another $3 schnauzer after this draft? Couldn't get into this one and I've never drafted with you. We will, I'll just ask the chat whenever we're done with this draft. Whatever y'all want, we'll get into. I'm fine with whatever. It's up to y'all. Minus a big dog. We're not getting in a $500 draft today. I'm sorry. Okay. Now Herbert goes at the 112. Where does Tua go in these drafts? Tua at 152. Honestly, that price point at Tua makes me like Achane and Tyreek's price more. Like Achane mid-round 2, Tyreek mid-round 3. If Tua is that affordable, I'm game. Like, I'm down for it. I was going to reach on Keon Coleman here. I guess it's the Allen team that takes him. I'm not going to fault him for it. Looking at the receivers with Shaheed, I guess maybe we just end up taking Shaheed. Don't love it, but we're going to have to take wide receivers we don't love regardless, right? No matter what. So might as well just go ahead and take him next. Okay. Yeah. If you look at what Shaheed did early in the year, Shaheed was phenomenal. I mean, he was lapping Olave, but coming off a significant injury, my thing with, and I don't want to say he was phenomenal, maybe poor choice of words, but if you look at him, wide receiver 15, wide receiver 13, then the dud week, but then wide receiver 18, wide receiver 15. If you look at the efficiency, I guess as a rookie, 2.77 yards per route run, 2.16 this past year. Target share gets up to 24%. I was considering taking an unstacked Fields. This team, they may be on auto. They have Burrow, Kyler, and Fields. Raphael says Bateman in the 10th, the same as Jameson in the 4th. Let me pull this up with Bateman. I don't think Bateman's any good, to be honest. I didn't want Christian Kirk anyway. Javonte feels like the best pick on the board, but actually, I think we may go David Njoku, because if we take David Njoku, I'm fine only drafting 2 tight ends, and that gives us another spot for wide receiver. And while I know people may say, well, Mason, you still need wide receiver desperately, the thing that I know that y'all don't is there may or may not be a wide receiver 1 that we are able to draft at pick 149. So if you're telling me I'm getting a top 12 wide receiver in fantasy at pick 149, that gives us a lot of flexibility here. So let's take David Njoku. Let's call it a day at tight end and open up another roster spot for us at wide receiver. Gianna P says, just realized I'm in the draft with you. Well, happy to have you. Thank you for coming to the live stream. C-Nox says, what are your thoughts on double tapping elite quarterbacks early at the 2-3 turn? I think it's horrible. If you look at so what I think you can get away with, and I've always said this, and if you look at the math, and I'll make dedicated videos for this offseason, we do every year. You can get away with going bully tight end, bully quarterback to a certain extent. And whenever I say you can get away with going bully tight end, bully quarterback, you can get away with taking Lamar Jackson here at the 3-4 turn. You can get away with taking Lamar Jackson at pick 39 and then following that up with another quarterback in like the 7th and 8th round. And going 2 quarterbacks early and having like Lamar and Mahomes or Lamar and Baker, Lamar and Kyler. But for you to like take, say at the 2-3 turn, Josh Allen and Lamar, you are just so far behind the 8 ball that you're not going to be able to cut it. It's the same thing like if teams try to take Bowers and McBride at the 1-2 turn. It used to happen all the time back in the day. People thought it was a decent idea to take, I think it was Gronk and Jimmy Graham together, which I don't think you can get away with that. On Underdog, however, I think you could 100% get away with taking like McBride in round 2 and then Laporta in round 7. So I think you can get away with going bully tight end or bully quarterback, but to do it with 2 out of your first 3 picks, the opportunity cost is just way too high at the other positions. You can't get away with it. Let's move this. Hollywood, McMillan both go. And I am unironically saying this. It feels horrible to take McMillan ahead of Quentin Johnston. And I'm being genuine when I say that. We could go with Jordan Love, just get the points here, and then follow it up with a Packers receiver later on. There are 1,000 Packers receivers. Tight ends off the board for us, right? We're not drafting any more tight ends. Running back, if we take another RB, it's not going to be till near the very end of this draft. There's going to be a little bit of a run on quarterback here. So we take Love. We get the points to advance at quarterback. And then our stack with Tua or Cam Ward, either one, we can stack with Miami or Tennessee. We're going to be fine. Runner says Dak over Love, in my opinion. Maybe I need to actually look into this, but my assumption is there are just way more Packers receivers we can take late. Like we can get Romeo Doubs, we can get Dontavian Wicks, we can get Savion Williams. Whereas if we're looking at the Cowboys options, it's really just Jalen Tolbert, right? So we take an unstacked Dak here. We are really having to thread the needle with the Jalen Tolbert pick later on. Where we take an unstacked Love, we have a couple different options. Okay. And I actually don't mind all these receivers that are here. So y'all know I do something that I don't see very often. And I see people disagree with us a bunch, which is I try to push my stacks. I try to look at the context of the board and I go, oh, okay, I have Achane and I have Tyreek. Really, is there going to be somebody else to take Tua? Why don't we take Quentin Johnston here and roll the dice that we get Tua on the way back around and have that unique combo? And if it doesn't happen, then we'll take Cam Ward. A lot of times I would say that. A lot of times I would look at that strategy. The reason I'm not going to consider it when we take Tua here at 149 is if we go back to that team at pick 1. That team at pick 1, that may or may not be on auto, I don't exactly know. They took Burrow, Kyler, and Justin Fields all in the same squad. So for them to go with 3 quarterbacks inside the first 10 rounds, I do think this may drive up the later quarterbacks where it makes it less likely that we get Tua and Cam Ward making it back around to us. So let's just go ahead. Let's take Tua here. And we will call it a day. Okay. Yeah, maybe could have gone the big Q then Tua. Again, I think in terms of just getting quarterback points, I was a little bit concerned with that team having 3 quarterbacks inside the first 10 rounds. Frank says, I stay clear of all Green Bay receivers. None are elite and rarely provide any spike weeks. I will start pulling up my exposures probably next week, right? Because this should be my 16th drafts, I believe. I think this is my 16th draft. So it's too early for me to pull up my exposures, but I would be surprised if I want to be surprised, but I don't know if I've taken a Packers receiver yet in these drafts. Sam Darnold goes 160. The big Q off 161. We could go with the third quarterback here, realistically. I mean, quarterbacks we've taken 140 and 149. We get Cam Ward falling to us at 164. We get the stack with Ridley. The alternative for me is to go Jalen Tolbert. Let's take the third quarterback. If it wasn't the falling value that we had the stacking option for, we would have just gone ahead and taken Tolbert at 165. And Tolbert may have been the correct pick regardless. But now we're going to be done at quarterback and tight end. We have 4 picks left. And at the very minimum, 3 need to be the wide receiver position. And I think we could potentially look at going with only 4 running backs in the Hyperfragile build. But again, we are primarily preferring wide receiver here at 173. Which I think we'll get Adam Thielen. Am I super pumped about Adam Thielen this year? No, this may be our first time drafting him. But for the way that this draft took us, I don't hate it. Am I going to sit here and act like we just had the best draft of all time? No, of course not. But running back, we're rolling with Bijan, Achane, Kenneth Walker, Brian Robinson. So I think we're absolutely crushing at running back. I feel very comfortable having Laporta and Njoku as my 2 tight ends. Quarterback, Love stacked with a to be determined wide receiver later for the Packers. Tua stacked up with Tyreek and Achane. Ward stacked up with Ridley. The worst position by far is going to be receiver, where we have Tyreek, Devonta Smith, Calvin Ridley, Michael Pittman, Shaheed, Adam Thielen. And they're going to take 2 more receivers here. So it's definitely going to take us, one, seeing Tyreek go back to an elite option. 2, it's going to take Cam Ward being a Jaden Daniels level passer for Calvin Ridley's passing volume. And 3, we need some random spike weeks out of Shaheed. But we got Antler Ice out here. Happy to see you, my friend. Happy to see you. Hope that you had a great offseason. Mason Taylor goes, we are exclusively wide receiver and running back. And the vast majority of these picks should be a receiver. Oh, dear God. I think we take Dontavian Wicks. Am I a big Dontavian Wicks guy? Not at all. But we took Love, and we just need a wide receiver that has spike week upside. Again, since the Packers bring in multiple wide receivers this year, I'm definitely concerned with this. We can look back at last season and go, okay, well, Wicks did give you the wide receiver 3 week, the wide receiver 17 week, the wide receiver 28 week. So I guess you had 3 usable weeks for the year 2 player last year. He did increase his snap rate from 48% up to 54%. His efficiency fell with that, though, from 2.06 yards per route run down to 1.6, but his target share rose dramatically. So Wicks had more volume last year, became less efficient with his volume. And the issue is now the Packers coaching staff kind of gives us a sense of what they think of their wide receiver room by bringing in multiple guys to potentially take the role instead. Nick's saying the Packers won't let us down. Hopefully not. As we will need some usable weeks from the wide receivers we're taking in this range, given how bad this setup is. And then whatever position we take here, we'll just take the opposite one next time we're on the clock. So I am not a big Coker guy, but when we take Adam Thielen, I think we can take Jalen Coker here as our 9th or 8th receiver. And just go, what if Legette's a complete bum? What if the passing volume is better in this offense than we expected? So looking at this team, it's interesting, to say the least. Interesting is the word we can use for it. I think we have a lot of points at quarterback with Love to Award. I think we have enough points at tight end with Laporta and Njoku. Running back with Bijan, Achane, Kenneth Walker, Brian Robinson. I think we can almost get away with only taking 4 running backs. Now, I know maybe some of y'all are new to Underdog. Maybe you started drafting on Underdog last year or the year before. But Best Ball Mania 1 was actually one with a Hyperfragile build, where somebody took 4 running backs early and then spammed wide receivers after. And what happened in the second season, and this is the most typical thing you'll ever see from Underdog drafters ever. The next year, everybody that thought that they were a genius went, oh, okay, this is what won it last year, so let's copy and paste this over and over again. And the second season of Best Ball Mania, everybody thought that the Hyperfragile build was the way to go, where you only drafted 4 running backs and then you just absolutely spammed wide receivers afterwards. And you went quantity over quality at wide receiver. Turned out that did not work. It's very difficult to make it work, and it shouldn't be your plan A, but it is a possibility. And I think when we have this kind of running back room and we are so far behind at wide receiver, I am actually going to try to go with the Hyperfragile build here, take Adonai Mitchell, and hope that we get a spike week from him as well. So very rarely are you going to see us with this construction on Underdog, where we drafted 3 quarterbacks, 4 running backs, 9 receivers, and 2 tight ends. Our offenses we're in on the Colts with Adonai Mitchell, Michael Pittman, the Panthers with Jalen Coker and Adam Thielen, the Packers with Dontavian Wicks, Jordan Love, the Dolphins with Tua, Achane, Tyreek, the Titans with Cam Ward and Calvin Ridley. And then obviously some one-off instances with individual players. But interesting draft, and honestly, I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. But spam the chat right now. Let me know what y'all want. Do y'all want a Schnauzer? Do y'all want a puppy draft? Do y'all want a Best Ball Mania? Whatever you want is what we're going to get in right now. Aleem says another $3 draft. Let's see if that's what people want. We got 1 vote for the $3, 1 vote for the $5, 1 vote for either or. $3, $5, $5, $5, $5, $3. Couple BBMs. Puppy. It looks like most people want the puppy. So we'll hop in a puppy. Maybe we'll do the Schnauzer after this. But let's get in here. We are in a 20-second puppy for anybody who wants to join. Let me update that little $sign. Where are we picking? Pick 10. I think pick 10, you start off wide receiver. I think typically it's a wide receiver and then running back builds, but we'll see. Raphael, I was roasting your draft as we were going, my friend. I don't know what you were cooking up over there, but it wasn't pretty. I'll say that much. It was not pretty. Mainstream says, will Devin Neal be viable next season? I think in that draft, he went like round 17 or 18. And 100% he could. Okay. Let's see. Laceless Shoe in here at pick 8. We got Bean out here with us at pick 3. Bean, I'm going to have to respectfully ask you to do this. I know you've been in here with us for a while, and I probably should have said this a long, long time ago. But we gotta change this profile pic. This is a friends and family network. For me to have to put this onto the screen, 1, it disturbs me, and I'm sure 2, it disturbs the other people watching this. So whatever this is, we got to figure it out. Turtle in here at 7. Happy to see you. And maybe I just put 2 and 2 together. But Turtle, if you are waiting for me to review your team on flockfantasy.com, because there's somebody else there named Turtle waiting for it. I need you to respond to my message on the site. I think I need your league ID, but it could be a different Turtle. But let me move this over. Puka goes. So we will take Malik Neighbors. Definitely prefer Neighbors over Brian Thomas very easily. In comparison to Nico Collins has better quarterback play, but if we're looking at Neighbors specifically, targets, you're absolutely insane. Quarterback play should have improved this offseason, and you don't really have any additional target competition coming in. We get Brian Thomas off at 12. CMC goes at 13. So I have no logical explanation for this. Just to let you know. But never mind. We are not even... Actually, F it. Bowers, 200 points last year. AJ Brown has been up at like 255 in the past. We'll take Bowers. I thought we were going to have to pass on Derrick Henry here. I figured Bowers is going to go instead of London. And I was going to say I have no logical explanation to be passing on Derrick Henry. But I feel like we're going to be doing it this next year. But you look at Henry, you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 RB1 finishes. Obviously, the receiving volume's not there. It never is. But 16 rushing touchdowns, 20 carries inside the 5-yard line. And I'm going to be scared because he's another year older, and we're probably going to lose money because of it. Turtle says, that's not me. Definitely a less handsome impersonator. That's what I figured. I went, this Turtle guy on the site. Same name, but not nearly as handsome. Kadarius Tony says, is that why you ignore my comments, Mason? Because my profile pic scares you. That's exactly why, my friend. Bean, I would rather be your ugly mug. Okay, let me walk that back. If your ugly mug is worse than the picture that's on the screen right now, we have bigger problems. We got bigger problems. Alan says he just got Henry at pick 20 in his draft. My rule with Derrick Henry last year was I took him when he fell to round 4. He had an ADP of like 30 in underdog drafts. So we had 4% Derrick Henry, if memory serves right. My rule this year, maybe the thing is, I may be going out on a limb and I may be saying some reckless things here. But I may rather have Chase Brown than Derrick Henry. We look at Chase Brown's second half of his year. Once he was the guy, he was more productive than Derrick Henry. He's a younger running back with a better receiving profile. Cale Elliott in this draft again with us at pick 6 and goes 3 running backs straight with Gibbs, Achane, and Chase Brown. Let's move this over. Mike Evans off. Chase Brown's not a low-key selling dynasty in my mind. Chase Brown was at massive risk for the Bengals to bring a running back in and give him real competition in the NFL draft. But once they didn't, you don't have any concerns. Realistically, what running back in Cincinnati is going to be taking this job from Chase Brown? Like, the more I look at the way that draft boards are right now, if I had to go out on a limb and like be hot take Mason for whatever reason, I think I can make an argument for Chase Brown to be the RB 6. I think I could make an argument to have Chase Brown ahead of Jacobs, Kyron, Bucky, Taylor, Achane, Henry. I would probably have him as, like, the highest I realistically would get would probably be RB 7 because I don't know if I'd ever put Achane ahead of him. But the thing with like the Bengals offense being quote unquote weird is, frankly, it doesn't matter if you get a bunch of Burrow dropbacks because Chase Brown has the receiving involvement. So it almost doesn't matter the game script. Chase Brown is going to be viable. Okay, let's see. Lando Slat says, why would you pick Breece? You go back 2 years ago. Breece was the RB2 in fantasy. Massive role as a receiver. Super efficient running back. Every year of his career, juke rate 20% or higher. He was a mid-round 1 pick last year. Still on his rookie contract. We're now getting him in round 4. The bad part of Fields coming over is lower checkdown rate. Obviously is going to negatively impact Breece Hall. The positive thing with the rushing quarterback coming over is possibly frees his opposing linebackers, and we see the efficiency actually have a tick up for Breece from a per touch perspective. Now, what's going to be very interesting is if you look at the team at 9, they go Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels back to back here. So, no idea what the hell's going on. We'll see it if it works out. I'll reiterate, I think you can get away with going like Josh Allen round 3, Mahomes round 8. But to go Allen, Daniels back-to-back, I think is going to be a lot tougher. And of course, if y'all wanted to get in a draft with us, we're doing these every single night. This is Underdog Fantasy. I've done this every night for years. I'll do this every night going into the future. In my mind, it's one of the best ways you can spend your free time. It's super fun. And they're best ball drafts, so it's not going to replace your main fantasy football league. That's why we're crazy and drafting on May 4th right now. But if you wanted to hop in a draft with us, you can find the link in the live chat, description, comment section. Use promo code FLOCK, and you'll get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Plus, on top of that, you'll be getting our 2025 rankings and draft guide cheat sheet. And Underdog is available in damn near every state. You can see the map here. We need to update it with New York, but outside of that, we good. And yeah, if you wanted to make sure, if you're on Underdog and you wanted to make sure that you can get in these drafts with us, hit the bell next to the subscribe button. That way you know when we go live. Okay. Yeah, we'll do another draft after this tonight. Don't worry. Let's move this over. Addison goes 55. I really like our start so far. We have Mixon going. This is the team that went Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels, picks 33 and 40. So they're the wild card. They go DK Metcalf. I'm not taking Rome. Don't know about Olave. We will take Chuba Hubbard. I think Hubbard may be it's maybe the first time I've taken him this offseason. Reasons to believe the Carolina Panthers offense may improve. Be completely honest, I'm not going to be the biggest Chuba Hubbard guy this year. I was going to say not much pedigree, but if you actually remember, Chuba Hubbard in college was an absolute beast. At least at the beginning of his collegiate career. Things did eventually fall off. Doesn't get a ton of draft capital. And does just the bare minimum through the beginning of his NFL career, which is the main thing that scares me. Is like, are we going to look back and is it going to be a one-off instance? So I'm going to take Chris Godwin. Godwin was the wide receiver 2 in fantasy before he goes down with an injury. Again, I've said this in previous live streams. One of my biggest weaknesses in fantasy football is taking the guys coming off a significant injury and just not accepting the actual impact it's going to have for them early in the season. So maybe instead I should be considering a player like Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy would be my alternative selection if we weren't taking Godwin. Especially when we have the round 1 wide receiver going to Tampa. I just frankly don't know. I want to say Godwin's a massive steal here, but whenever I've done that in the past when it comes to some of these names that are coming off these injuries, I've just gotten absolutely crushed. Alex says just got Hurts at pick 60. Is he falling? So let me fill y'all in on a little secret here. I am right now in a slow big dog draft. Now it's going to take a while to fill. And I'm going to make a video of it after it's done. That's why this is a secret. And I didn't want to say it right out the gate. But let me pull this up. My active drafts. And let you know where I got Hurts. I guess I didn't get Hurts that far down. So this is my start of that $500 draft. We have Hurts at quarterback. We got him at 54. We have Gibbs and Chase Brown together. And then we have A.J. Brown and Xavier Worthy. So we're going to be playing catch up on wide receiver over the next few rounds. But if we can do that, I think we're sitting pretty. Cart's coming out with the dono. Thank you. Steven says, Mason, get the counselor to join the Flock League. He'd be perfect. Does he have a YouTube channel or is it just... Because I think I've seen him on Instagram Reels. I don't know if we're looking to get any other fantasy football people in it. Unless we can get like one or two that I would like. The Flock League draft is like August 15th through 18th is when they're all coming to Austin when we have the Airbnb. So I don't know exactly what day the draft is, but it's sometime around then. Lion King says Team 4 is trolling as well. What did Team 4 do? Team 4 is 5 RBs. Najee goes 81. So we're in a fine spot to continue to play catch up here at receiver. This may be the first time we've taken Sticky Ricky this year. Y'all know we took a bunch of Sticky Ricky last year. This year, much tougher price point, in my opinion. We were talking previously about Ayuk needing to be ahead of him when like Sticky Ricky had an ADP like 15 picks before Ayuk. But in this draft, Ayuk does go before Sticky Ricky. So I feel fine taking Ricky for the first time. Okay. Cash Clark says Ryan Trahan. He lives in Austin and loves fantasy football. I don't know if I know who that is. I'm going to look that up. Actually, I've seen this guy before because he has amazing YouTube thumbnails. I've sent him to the editor. Okay. The Ladster is out here. Is this the real Ladster? Or is this an impersonator? Mahomes goes 86. We're going to go ahead. We will take Baker and get the Godwin stack. Does seem a little bit aggressive in comparison to some of the quarterback values that you have later in these drafts. But again, we've talked about this in the past. That some of these quarterbacks that just have so many skill positional guys that are getting drafted highly, they're naturally going to have a higher ADP than maybe what you would just project them out for in rankings. And they're just going to cost a little bit more because there are so many teams trying to go out there and grab them, right? I mean, players like this are going to be maybe Baker Mayfield, Caleb Williams are good examples where you're looking at a situation with Caleb Williams where the Rome Odunze team, the DeAndre Swift team, the DJ Moore team, the Luther Burden team are all interested. Loveland's going later. And then at the same time, Caleb does have some rushing upside. So you could see a team talking themselves into Caleb Williams, even unstacked. Baker Mayfield, you have the Godwin, Evans, and Igbuka teams to all worry about. And maybe the Bucky Irving team as well, if they mix things up and get a little spicy there. So, like, taking Baker at 87 may seem aggressive, but again, if you want Baker Mayfield, if you want those quarterbacks that have a bunch of options, you are just going to have to pay the price. Raphael says Team 4 is on fire. Team 4 is sitting with CeeDee Lamb and Cooper Kupp. It's going to be tough. We'll see what they can do. If I was Team 4, I'm not drafting another running back. I only take one other tight end, and we draft as many wide receivers as we possibly can. Kadarius Stoney says, Mason the type of guy to be 30% on the big Q by week 1. I will definitely give you all my exposures when we get done with drafts this week. That way, because after drafts this week, if we keep doing 3 drafts a live stream, we'll have 30 drafts under our belt. So we'll maybe start to get a little sample to know guys that I'm actually drafting a lot and guys I'm not taking at all. Right now, if I were to look at the exposures, it would just not really matter much. The Ladser says, if you ever need a guest to get you through the grueler, hit me up. I will for sure be hitting you up, my guy. Thing I need to set up is, let me make this pick real quick. But you know I stream on OBS, and it's just much tougher to pull people in on OBS than it is StreamYard. So looking at what's going to be coming back around to us here, I guess we could consider Brock Purdy. And if we're going to consider Brock Purdy on the wraparound, maybe a decent idea to get our last wide receiver. And y'all know last draft, we passed on Josh Downs in favor of just getting Michael Pittman later. Here, this draft, Pittman actually goes ahead of Downs. So we'll take Downs, 106. Not a big Tracy guy. Don't really see much interest. I mean, too many reasons to take him. And then we are going to be going, hopefully, with Purdy as we have Ricky Pearsall. This team has CMC and Juwan Jennings, though, at 12. So honestly, they may end up taking Purdy here instead, which they do. And now that they go Purdy, we are in an interesting spot where we kind of have to find a pivot. As quarterback, you have a Herbert, but we're not taking Herbert. Love, blah, blah, blah. So it looks like now we may end up having to take 3 quarterbacks in this draft if we're not taking any quarterbacks anytime soon. This team goes Andrews. I'm not going to lie. I was going to take Andrews and kind of go bully tight end here, but now that he's off, do we take Tracy for the first time? We will go Tracy. I think this is our first time drafting him at pick 111. We have neighbors, so maybe we say, oh, what if Russell Wilson or Jackson Dart elevates this offense and it's much better? What if the running back they just took in round 4 that I prefer, I think he's the better player, isn't good and isn't athletic enough to get it done at the NFL level? Obviously, big what ifs. But our plan A was Purdy. Our plan B was Mark Andrews, because I think Mark Andrews outscores the wide receivers in this range, or at least has a very good shot to. So it is what it is. But yeah, let's not forget about famous Jameis. And Bean updated his profile pic. Thank you, Bean, for updating the profile pic. Let's see the new one. Let's look at the new one for Bean. Let's see, can we find the old one and compare these side by side and see which one we prefer? I think it updated all his previous messages to the new one. Oh, nope. Here's the new one. Everybody take a good look at the new one, and we'll look at the old one and let me know which one's better. Old one. And scroll back down to the new one. New one. I think I like the Rogan one better. Okay, let's move over. Lion King says, do we know when Tank Dell will be back? Not this year. So 2026? I'll reiterate it. I know people hate me for saying this, but we said it then. I'll say it now. I think Tank Dell was overrated the entire time. He's too small. And I'm saying this as a small guy myself. Just kidding. That's just me being humble, by the way. I'm more built like DK Metcalf. Just trying to be humble for the live stream here. So I want to root for my fellow small king. But I think Dell's a little bit overrated to begin with. Massive outlier when it comes to his size. Now, after this injury, I think brother's cooked. Absolutely cooked. All right, let's figure out what we're doing here. So Jeremy on the clock. Here's something we could do. Does this team on the end have any... Oh, they freaking have Jordan Love. Crap. Do we take Jack Besh? No, I don't want to do that. We're going to take Jordan Love. Okay, I mean, here's the thought process. We can take Jordan Love here at 130, call it a day with only drafting 2 quarterbacks, and then on the way back around, look for Tucker Kraft. I was hoping that we could just take Tucker Kraft and avoid this team at 12 taking Jordan Love, but the team at 12 that also sniped us on Brock Purdy, no fault to their own. I would have taken Purdy if I was them as well. They had Jennings and CMC. They have Jaden Reed. So if we would have gone Kraft first and then hoped to get Jordan Love on the way back around, it would have been very unlikely. The thing is, this team goes Dak and Ferguson. Perfect. So they go and they get their own little quarterback tight end stack. And so that does mean that we will end up getting Tucker Kraft to pair up with Bowers. And now we can actually maybe call it a day with 2 quarterbacks and 2 tight ends. We're for sure calling it a day at tight end with only 2 tight ends here with the combo of Bowers and Kraft. If you wanted to make an argument for us to go ahead and take a third quarterback in round like 17 or 18 if you wanted to go like round 18, Jackson Dart, I'm not going to fault you for it. But I think we also have the flexibility and we have the optionality. That's probably maybe the better word for it, to only take 2 total quarterbacks in this draft. Okay. But let me move this over. I like this team. I don't think it's horrible. Wide receiver, we have Malik Neighbors, Devontae Adams, Chris Godwin, Sticky Ricky, and Josh Downs. Tight end, we have Bowers and Tucker Kraft, so we should absolutely crush at tight end. Running back, we have Breece, Chuba Hubbard, Tyrone Tracy. Is it super strong? No. Will he get the job done? I think so. And quarterback, we have Baker stacked with Godwin, Love stacked with Kraft. And then obviously there are more Packers receivers we can look at later. So I'm not going to lie. We may be cooking this Sunday. We may have some okay teams here. The Ladster giving us the nod of the approval. The approval. Whatever it is. Appreciate it. Let's see. Bone says, you don't get nervous about the 2 quarterbacks having the same bye week. No, I don't, my friend. I think maybe if you're using it as a tiebreaker, you go for it. But your 2 quarterbacks have the same bye week. You're sacrificing 18 points of expected value through the course of the weeks 1 through 14 slate. Like, obviously, that's not saying it's ideal, but it's not going to be the end of the world. Nick says this team can take number 2 after him. Well, thank you for giving us that luxury, my friend. Now, let's move this over. We are just running back wide receiver. If the Ladster's still in the stream, you got to give me your take on Jaden Blue. For sure, I'm not taking Jaden Blue over Trey Benson. Trey Benson is an absolute auto pick here at 154. But what's the take on Jaden Blue in comparison to some of these other guys? Should we be taking Jaden Blue over Tyler Algier? Yeah, Runner says best ball's points over the course of the season. Buys are not a concern. Yeah, like I said, you can use it as a tiebreaker, but it's not my main factor in these drafts. Looks like we do have the Ladster. Yeah, the Ladster. You got to give me your opinion on Jaden Blue here. We don't get the ability to take him on the way back around. We're probably going to take Romeo Doubs for the first time this offseason to pair up with Love and Kraft. Like, I definitely feel like we should have gone with Algier if Algier made it. I'm not super excited about any of this. I'm probably never going to take Joshua Palmer here, by the way. Let's take Romeo Doubs, 159. Again, do not like this price point of him. If I don't like this price point of him, we maybe shouldn't be taking Jordan Love where we did. But let me actually pull this around and let me see if there's something I'm missing with this Joshua Palmer pick. I know he's in a good offense, and I know just default, maybe his ADP's here because where Josh Allen will go. Like the Josh Allen team just kind of has to take a wide receiver, of course. But like, is there any world in which I need to be considering Joshua Palmer? Let's pull this up. Rankings page. Palmer. Last year, Palmer gives you 0 top 24 weeks. The efficiency has always been bad for Palmer. Best season ever, 1.79 yards per route run. Best season ever, 17% team target share. So, yeah. I think we can slap the certified bum on him. Velasquez says 100% give me Benson. Did the blue... I didn't see your blue comment. This is something I need to figure out. For whatever reason, it feels like half the live chat comments don't come onto the screen for me. I don't know why. Let me look at it on my phone. I got the stream pulled up on my phone. Yeah, it doesn't go through there either. I don't know why, but I've heard from multiple people now that for whatever reason, certain comments aren't coming through. I don't really have much interest in any of these guys, which it feels like it's always the story of my life when we get on the clock in rounds 15, 16, 17. Do we just go Dylan Sampson and say, okay, well, the Browns coaching staff decided to bring in 2 running backs, indicating that Dylan Sampson is the guy over Jerome Ford? Maybe, but the issue is, like, Dylan Sampson could be the perfect example of somebody that we're drafting at like 178 in May. And then when we get to August, then we actually have like legitimate projections for these offenses. People view Dylan Sampson as the 3rd running back in a crappy offense, and then he's just not getting drafted. So again, like this range of rookies, I'm always like scared to be drafting just because I think we may be overdrafting them just because how close we are to the draft. I mean, the NFL draft. All the quarterbacks are gone. Only quarterback left is Jackson Dart. So it looks like we are probably sticking with Baker Love unless we want to go like Jackson Dart in round 18. I think what we may end up doing here is just building out that Packers onslaught with some of these super cheap options. We took Romeo Doubs, 159. I do not like that Ontavian Wicks price point at all. I know this is back-to-back drafts where we have taken Wicks, but especially if we're only going to be drafting 2 quarterbacks here, the story that we're kind of having to tell is maybe change with the game plan, change with how this coaching staff approaches things in Green Bay. And instead, we actually have them really airing it out, especially if you were to get like a Josh Jacobs injury, something like that happens. And if we get a bunch of Jordan Love passing volume, maybe it's viable to have round 12 Tucker Kraft, round 14 Romeo Doubs, round 16 Dontavian Wicks. Mr. Shook, always happy to see us. Says, hey Mason, we got Breece, Gibbs, Najee as our 3 running backs in Dynasty. I have a 2nd rounder. What running back do you in chat think I should pass Najee? 2 second rounders. Okay. So if we have 2 second rounders, if Caleb Johnson, RJ Harvey fall to the top of the 2nd round, like if you're sitting with the 201, they are absolute auto picks in that instance. However, if you don't have those early seconds and they're going to be more so mid to late seconds, the 2 running backs I would be targeting would be Tootin with the hopes that maybe ETN is no longer here in Jacksonville for the long term, or Scattaboo with the hopes that they drafted him just to be the starter over Tracy in the long term as well. Speed says Nick Chubb equals Dalvin Cook. I tend to agree with that. That's another, like, going back to like me making the mistake over and over again of drafting these injured guys and thinking I'm getting some great discount and thinking I'm getting access to some top end upside. Nick Chubb's one of those players we were drafting at what I perceived to be a massive discount last year. And the reality of the situation was the dude should have never been getting drafted. He gave us one usable week. We had what? The one usable week as with 19 fantasy points. Will you look at his juke rate? Fell from a 40% a couple years back down to 13% this last year. Like, Chubb is just done skis. There's nothing left with Chubb. Okay, let's move this over. Wide receiver, we have Neighbors, Adams, Godwin, Pearsall, Downs, Dobbs. I feel like we need another receiver here. I know we keep drafting Adonai Mitchell. I don't have a good explanation why. Didn't like him as a prospect. Not a great rookie season. Passing volume in this offense looks to be extremely limited. But I don't know. I do a lot of things that I don't think are logical. So we're going to take him here anyway. And then our running backs with Breece, Chuba, Tracy, Benson, Sampson. I think we take another running back here in round 18 for our 6th RB. And going right back to us talking about drafting these rookies with the hopes that there's something. And I think we just get to August and these guys aren't being drafted anymore. We will take Hunter. And we maybe wasted our 2 last running back spots on Sampson and Hunter. But overall, draft wasn't too bad. Let's look at it. Not horrible. Wide receiver, we have Neighbors, Adams, Godwin, Pearsall, Downs, Dobbs, Wicks, Adonai. Running back, we have Breece, Chuba, Tracy, Benson, Sampson, Hunter. Tight end, we have Bowers and Kraft. Quarterback, we have Baker and Love. So what this team really hinges on is, could somehow we get a surprise with how the Packers are changing their overall play calling and their scheme, and all of a sudden Jordan Love is top 5 in the NFL in passing yards, passing touchdowns, passing attempts. And if that happens and that boosts up Kraft, Wicks, Dobbs, and then Love himself, I think we're in a great spot. If the Packers are very run heavy, this team does absolutely nothing. Raphael says, Mason, you said the Bills were your dark horse Super Bowl team last year. Who you got this year? Last year, I freaking nailed our Super Bowl call. But real quick, let me know in the live chat, what are y'all wanting to see here? We got BBM, $3 draft, $5 draft, $3. Yeah, let me know what draft y'all want, and then we'll hop into that draft. I'll probably got to leave in about 40 minutes for a dinner reservation, but we got time for another. Puppy, BBM, puppy, Schnauzer, BBM, puppy, BBM, BBM, $5 BBM. Let's get into BBM. We haven't done Best Ball Mania in a decent bit. We've done 6 so far this offseason. And how many days are we into drafting? This is our 6-day drafting. So maybe we just keep it up. 1 BBM draft a day. So we're in here, 20-second timer, and let's see what pick we end up getting. We are pick 10. Hell, we just picked a pick 10, so perfect. We actually got a little bit of a warm-up for this Best Ball Mania draft. Okay. Let's move this over. So today we did a $3 Schnauzer, a $5 puppy, and then a $25 BBM. Robert says, in a rookie draft, would you rather 7th overall or 15th and 20th? 7th overall by a mile. Velasquez says 2 meals awaiting. You know me. You know me quite well, my friend. Drew says, have you ever considered making a channel aimed at fitness and your training? Let me show you a little something, my friend. From whenever I have not uploaded here at all in over a year. But We've actually done that. Been there, done that, my friend. Been there, done that. This is when we first started training for the Ironman. Not a lot of effort went into these, but we could maybe get an updated one. This is when I think I went on a bike ride with Ryan, right? But yeah, we did maybe we'll do something. Because right now what we're training for is we have the 100-mile ultra marathon in almost exactly 1 month. It's June 6th. And then we have the Ironman in July, but we've done like nothing on the bike, nothing swimming. And the Ironman's probably way too close to the 100-mile ultra for us to do well in the Ironman. Like, we'll see if I can even do the Ironman. I'm signed up for it, but I may get wrecked with the 100-miler. We'll see. Neighbors goes, we're taking a Monroe St. Brown here easily. I mean, y'all have seen my rankings. I just think St. Brown, you have such a high floor weekly combo every single week. Sorry, high floor ceiling combo every single week. I was like, I know I said that wrong, but how did we say that? Okay. Henry goes to pick 12. Bowers off the board as well. We're going to get a little bit of a unique combo here. The team that took Brian Thomas at 11, are they going to go CMC or Nico? So I don't know if, yeah, they go London. I don't know if we've drafted Nico Collins so far this season. Again, nothing against Nico Collins himself, but maybe I'm just a little bit salty about our BBM finals team falling flat on its face because of Nico and this Texans offense. And again, I've already told you all that story, but last Christmas, I told all my family, all my extended family, oh my gosh, I have a team in the finals at Best Ball Mania. This is a massive deal for reasons X, Y, and Z. Could win $1 million, blah, blah, blah. What we need is in this Baltimore Ravens, Houston Texans game, both teams to go crazy passing the ball. And CJ Stroud turned into a pumpkin. Nico Collins did nothing, and my Christmas was ruined. And it was frankly embarrassing because we were on the East Coast. So it took forever for the game to start. And I was just talking about this game for 6 hours. And I thought I was manifesting it. I thought I was for sure destined to win Best Ball Mania. I thought my team was golden. And it sadly crashed and burned. And the Ladster knows. The Ladster also had a team in the Best Ball Mania final, and we were going back and forth. I think he also had Nico, so we were going for it. And it's a sad day. It's a sad day. But anyway, if we go St. Brown, Nico Collins, back-to-back here at the 1-2 turn, super high upside start, and at the same time, based off where the ADPs line up, I don't know if there are going to be a ton of St. Brown and Nico Collins builds this year. Well, let's see. Speed is asking Breece or Hampton at the turn. I would way rather have Hampton than Breece in Dynasty. But for this season, the answer for me is Breece. Like the long-term outlook, I think Hampton is an absolute crusher. And I'm not saying not to draft Hampton. But Breece 2 years ago was the running back 2 in fantasy, and he's still on his rookie deal. So it's not like this 29, 30, 31-year-old running back that we're expecting to fall anytime soon. Okay. Now let's move this over. Trey McBride goes 28. I don't know if I've seen McBride fall this far. This may be the furthest McBride fall I've seen. But also I've seen Garrett Wilson off the board at like 28. So, or definitely like combos of like Barkley, Wilson, McBride, whether or not Wilson was taken in round 2 and McBride was around 3 or vice versa. And then Bucky Irving going at 27 is interesting. Chase Brown up at 24. Again, I've talked about, I think you can rank Chase Brown as high as like the RB6. We're going to take Rashee Rice here. I'll tell you why in just 1 second. But let's see what the teams on the turn do. Yeah. We're going to go Rice. This may be the first time we've taken Rice. And again, I will say, I think if you're looking at Rice in a vacuum, he could be the best value in the draft at the moment, but depends on what happens with suspension and injuries. Could be an absolute dud as well. We could go Worthy too. Maybe just double tap the Chiefs wide receivers. That's what we're going to do. F it. Let's double tap the Chiefs wide receivers and go, what if Mahomes goes back to throwing the ball at the same volume that he did years ago? Like, let's go ahead and pull this up. Obviously, back-to-back seasons, Mahomes' passing volume has been extremely limited. 2 years ago, 4,100 passing yards. This past year, 3,900 passing yards. 26, 27 passing touchdowns, respectively. But you just go one step further back. You had a 4-year period where he was averaging over 4,500 passing yards a season. And not all these years was he playing 16, 17 games. We go 3 years back, 5,200 passing yards, 41 passing touchdowns. Is it a 0% chance we see this Patrick Mahomes again? I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but I do think it's in the range of outcomes. And in that instance, I think mixing in some Rice and Worthy combos may not be bad. Now, obviously, when we go Rice and Worthy here, we are wanting to take Mahomes later on. But you could even see this working out in another way where if you see the complete and utter collapse of Kelsey this next season, where Kelsey legitimately is a non-factor, where we actually have been seeing this trend as of late, where that may end up being the case. It's not like we're expecting Noah Gray to see all that volume. So if that does indeed end up going to like Worthy and Rice instead, like if you're looking at Kelsey this past 3 seasons, he's fallen from 2.4 down to 2.0 down to 1.6 yards per route run. What is Travis Kelsey 6 years old? I'm sorry, not 6 years old, 36 years old. Let me pull this up. Travis Kelsey age. Yeah, Travis Kelsey will turn 36 this season. I think there are a couple different ways that this can work out. And this is our first time doing it in this draft. So I'm just kind of selling it to myself out loud right now. But I think that there are a bunch of reasons to believe that a Rice-Worthy combo at the 3-4 turn may be massive. We'll see. Next, a super unique start. If you give Mahomes at a value, this is a stellar team. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited based off the start. Darius, yes, Genty should be going in round 1. Genty's locked and loaded for 300 touches plus a receiving role this year. There's no reason not to view Genty as a round 1 guy. We're going to take Chuba Hubbard. We have no running back yet. Hubbard projects to see volume again. I'm concerned that Hubbard may end up being one of these running backs that is in the dead zone, not historically a great player, not historically a guy that has a ton of receiving involvement. But maybe the offense gets better with McMillan coming in. They bring in 2 running backs this offseason, but Brooks should be an absolute non-factor. Jennings and Judy go off at 60, 61. I know this team's needing to take a receiver. And I think I've talked about this before, but I just almost hate more than anything else. What picks will we have available to us later? I think we're going to go Chris Olave. I know we're stretching it at running back, but I think we can find running back values that we like later. But yeah, I hate Jennings at 60. I know you go back to last year, especially in underdog drafts where we are looking for those spike weeks, and Jawan Jennings gives you possibly the, outside of maybe Jamar, gives you the best spike week you could have possibly asked for. With the 46.5 points in week 3. But my thing with Jennings is if we just take a step backwards, I could see the argument, oh, this is a player that doesn't have a lot of pedigree, so it took him time to get on the field. And once he got on the field, he absolutely dominated. And that's how he turned out to be the wide receiver 24 in total fantasy points this past year. I could see that argument if it wasn't for the fact that we have seen him out there for San Francisco. And while he's been horrendous. The first 3 years, 1.6, 1.5, 1.2 yards per route run. This past year takes the massive step forward. Looks amazing. Don't get me wrong. But if you are looking at his career, it does look like an outlier. And maybe it would be different if he came into the NFL at 20 years old and you're saying, oh, Mason, he just needed time to develop. It makes sense that he breaks out at 24. The dude turns 28 in 2 months. So like for you to post these horrendous seasons with horrible efficiency numbers in good offenses and then finally break out at 27. The only guy that I remember, and of course, correct me if I'm wrong, the only guy I can remember having that like massive breakout in an older age and actually being able to carry that over for a long period of time was Adam Thielen. Like, is there another player that maybe I'm missing on? Now, of course, if Jennings repeats what he did last year, he absolutely is a crusher here. And no question about it. But I would rather have Ayuk 20 picks later. But again, going back to it, I've gotten suckered in every single year. And I've made horrible decisions every single year centered around drafting these injured guys thinking I'm getting a decent discount. So maybe Ayuk is just toast. That's definitely a possibility. Please let me know in the chat, is the live stream quality dropping? I'm getting notifications that the live stream's bad right now, but let me know how it looks on y'all's end. Okay. Baker Mayfield goes at 80. Here's the real question. What's the probability we can take Montgomery and get Mahomes on the way back around? It is a no-brainer that we want Mahomes on this team. We're going to roll the dice. This is a $25 buy-in, $2 million for first place. Yes, we're going to have to get lucky to get Mahomes back around to us at 87, but we're going to have to get lucky to win this tournament no matter what. So we're going to take Montgomery and go, can anybody else match this? And this team at 85 takes Patrick Mahomes. Sadly, we whiff. We do have the optionality later with some of these other options. So there's a reason I was fine rolling these dice. Crazy gamble. Did not work out. But we also have CJ Stroud that we can take with Nico Collins. We also have Jared Goff that we can take with Amon-Ra St. Brown. Especially as we take Montgomery at pick 82, maybe setting up a what-if situation that the offensive coordinator change won't matter at all in Detroit, and they're, again, top 3 in the NFL in total fantasy points. So, playing now is going to be Goff and Stroud. I think it was the correct decision to see if we could roll the dice and get Mahomes making it back around to us at 87. But it is what it is. And hopefully we don't have live stream issues anymore because, again, we're at an Airbnb for the next month. Not only am I at an Airbnb, I'm actually at an Airbnb longer than that. Good news is with the July Ironman trip and the 100-miler trip in June is since both actually crap. Never mind. I was going to say both races are in the United States, so I can live stream underdog drafts for y'all at both races. But we are going to be in New York for the Ironman. And underdog is not in New York. Crap. That sucks. Speed says Rattlers playing week 17 for the Saints if I had to bet. Have we seen Rattler? I think I've seen Rattler play in college, to be honest. Okay, Josh Downs goes 96. Let's move this over. I really like our team so far. Running back, we have Chuba, Montgomery, Swift. Wide receiver, we have St. Brown, Nico, Rice, Worthy, Olave. I really, really like our team. We're going to be on the clock at 106. Johnny goes 101. So here's my thought process now when we're looking at Kelsey. Because we didn't get Mahomes, and the two instances in which I think taking Rice and Worthy really pay off is one, if Mahomes goes nuclear and we see 5,000 passing yards again, or two, if we have the crazy Kelsey fall off where he does turn into dust. Since we don't get Mahomes, Rice and Worthy, without him, we are essentially banking on us getting the crazy Kelsey fall off rather than having a ton of passing volume. So in that instance, I think we're maybe better off passing on Kelsey, which does suck because we're going to give him to the team that sniped us on Mahomes, and he actually should. I don't want to give it to him. But I'm more focused on trying to make my team the best I can than ruin other people's teams. Let's move this over. So the team right before us actually does snipe the Mahomes team on Kelsey. So he has our back. Now, Jordan Mason off. I'm not taking Trey Harris here. I'm not taking Brock Purdy. I'm not taking Loveland. I don't really like this range. I would take the tight ends before I would take Trey Harris or Purdy. We'll let it auto Loveland. I think this is the Loveland pick is freaking horrible. I maybe should even take Keon Coleman over Loveland. I think it's our first time taking Loveland. I'm sorry, I'm not taking any Bateman. I'll give the Lamar team Bateman. There's no world in which I'm drafting Bateman at 111 with no Lamar. Adam says top 10 capital to Ben Johnson. I think he's a great player. Again, it's just there's so many receivers in this offense. And I think Cole Kmet does see some volume, even if it's not a ton. That it's a little tough for me to get there. John hitting him with the go blue. I thought Ladster was still out here when I saw that. Looking at wide receiver, now we have St. Brown, Nico, Rice, Worthy, Olave. Running back, we have Chuba, Montgomery, DeAndre Swift. Quarterback, we have Goff to pair up with St. Brown, and I guess Montgomery a little bit. We've seen him be a little more used as a receiver this past year. Tight end Loveland. It's a fine team. It would have been obviously a much, much, much better team if we got Mahomes at pick 87. If we got Mahomes at pick 87, we would have been ecstatic. Adam says people were worried about Michael Mayer for Bowers. Completely fair point. Tucker Kraft goes 121. Ingram goes 123. Okay. Maybe ETN does get dealt, but I can't see the Tootin reasoning to take him here at 125. Because if ETN is in that backfield, reasonably, there are 3 different running backs that could come away with it. It could be ETN, it could be Bigsby, it could be Tootin. In reality, it's probably going to be 2 of those guys, and the third guy's going to get cut out. And I don't know which is which. I don't know if it's going to be Tootin and Bigsby. I don't know if it's going to be Tootin and ETN. I don't know if it's going to be ETN and Bigsby. But unless ETN gets traded, I would almost feel like it's a guarantee that there should be a committee there. Okay. Dak goes. I know people are going to absolutely hate us for this. But I love the David Njoku price point. I think taking David Njoku here allows us to only take 2 tight ends with Loveland and Njoku. And we'll roll the dice that we get Stroud back around at 135. Which the thing is, this team that only has 1 quarterback has Brian Thomas. This other team has no Texans. Actually, they had Kirk, but they throw us a bone and they instead take Tua. So, yeah, we get CJ Stroud coming back around for the Nico Collins stack. So let's move this around. What we now have at wide receiver is we have St. Brown, Nico Collins, Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Chris Olave. Running back, we have Chuba, Montgomery, Swift. Quarterback, we have Goff stacked up with St. Brown, Montgomery as well, if you think that matters. Quarterback, we have Stroud stacked up with Nico Collins. The generic offenses that we are betting on Detroit with St. Brown, Montgomery, Goff. Houston with Nico Collins, Stroud. Kansas City with Rice and Worthy. And Chicago with Swift and Loveland. So, I really like the team. I really, really like it, to be honest. Okay. And I know we rolled the dice on getting Stroud back, but it worked out. And again, I do want to reiterate, you will see me take a lot of risk in these drafts and just go, I need this to break right for me. I need this to break perfectly for me, because realistically, Best Ball Mania is a $25 buy-in, $2 million for first place. If we want to have a shot to win, it does need to go perfectly for us. We do need to get lucky starting in the draft and then starting in the draft, and then weeks 1 through 14, we need to get lucky, and we need to get lucky in weeks 15, 16, 17. So I'm willing to take the risk, and I'm willing to roll the dice that we do get lucky in some of these spots. Raphael says, I remember last year, Mason was like, Hollywood Brown in the 6th was the worst pick on the board. Then he was out for the entire season. LOL. Yeah, but then after week 1 in the Flock League, when I saw Amari Cooper was just going to be absolute buns and the Browns offense with Watson was going to be garbage, I traded Amari for Javonte and Hollywood back when we thought Hollywood was going to be back in week 4, which I would make the argument that was the right trade to make, even if y'all are going to clown me on it. And then Hollywood immediately went on the IR. Literally the day after I made the trade, Hollywood went on the IR. Benson goes 152. Michael Penix, Cam Ward. We have no Falcons. We have no Titans. I think we can take a third quarterback if we really wanted to. I just don't know if we want to do it here. We are going to take Leggett as our 6th receiver. Joshua Palmer, Keenan Allen both go immediately after. Anthony Richardson goes 157. Could go Bryce Young as the third quarterback here. I think if we're taking a third quarterback, we got to wait a little longer. I think we're going to reach out Braylon Allen. Based off what's available to us at running back at this point, I do think that we maybe need to reevaluate the David Njoku pick in particular. Because going back and looking at what I would have preferred to do over Braylon Allen is I would have rather had Dallas Goedert. But we kind of get boxed out from that point. So instead of taking David Njoku, if in the next draft we take Ramondre Stevenson there, that does open up the possibility of us getting Goddard in round 14. And I think I'd probably prefer the combo of Stevenson and Goddard rather than the combo of Njoku and Braylon Allen. But we'll see. Two Mule says, I think Swift is dead man walking. Johnson showed him the door twice. I think it will happen again. The 7th round pick reminds me of Ray Rice. Don't know if you're too young to remember. I remember Ray Rice, my friend. But I think to call a 7th round running back that was not even on my radar before the draft, that I can't even pronounce his name, out of Rutgers, the next Ray Rice, is a bold, bold statement. Vinny says, thoughts on taking Tolbert there instead of Allen? It may be the right move. I frankly don't know. I maybe just got a little bit panicked at running back because we were sitting with Chuba, Montgomery, and Swift. And Braylon Allen's a running back that I'm pretty confident is the RB2 in his offense. Where when we're looking at some of these other names like Dylan Sampson, I can't say that. Yeah. Please, if you have not done so already, make sure you go down there, hit the like on this stream. And also, if you all want to come out to the beginning of these live streams so you can join these drafts with us, make sure you hit the bell next to the subscribe button as well. Yeah. You got to go a little bit further back than Ray Rice for me not to remember. So, I was born in 98. I would say anything pre... The first Madden I started playing a bunch was probably 06 or 07. I'll look for the Madden cover. So anything like early 2000s, like 2000, 2001, 2002, yeah, you'll lose me on. I won't have any idea. Running back, our guy's gone, so we'll just take Devin Neal. Let's go. Maybe he does end up having a role in New Orleans. Maybe he is the RB2 alongside Kamara, but it's an absolute garbage offense. But we have Chris Olave, so maybe we have to assume this offense a little bit better than projections have it. Okay. Amari 181. I hate what we did in the later rounds. I think we botched this specifically because of our late round strategy. Which our late round strategy was we didn't have one. We'll take Michael Wilson, just get a wide receiver that's going to be out there for running routes, a ton of routes, even if he's bad. And then round 18, we'll take a running back or a receiver. I don't know which one yet. Let's move this. Stacy says, Mason, where's the meetup this year? Had a blast last year in Austin. Really appreciate you, my friend. We're going to run it back in Austin. We'll have everybody from the Flock League come into Austin for that draft, and we'll do the same thing. We will do a meetup night of the draft, night after the draft, whenever it may be. We'll bring the draft board, though, to the meetup, too, which should be pretty cool. Okay. Let me try to figure out. Raphael says, first Super Bowl I remember was Steelers-Packers. First Super Bowl I remember, maybe it was that Cardinals Super Bowl. Let me pull up Madden covers by year, and I'll be able to tell you my first Madden. Why won't this photo load? Okay, this is Madden covers by year. I don't remember Vince Young being a Madden cover. The Madden I played the most was 2011. The Madden I played the most was definitely the Drew Brees one. Maybe my first Madden wasn't until 2008. Yeah, I don't remember McNabb. I don't remember. I think my first Madden was 2008, now that I really think about it. Ooh, crap, we are on the clock. Quarterback, wide receiver. Oh, we are about to panic. We are about to panic. We are about to really panic. Oh, okay. Panic pick. Oh, dear God. We'll take a wide receiver that may not even be getting drafted when we get to August. And then I think we're taking another running back here instead. Oh, Marshawn Lloyd. Oh, crap. I don't want to say that out loud. Marshawn Lloyd's a very easy round 18 pick now that you got no A.J. Dillon there. Like the draft? Do I love the draft? No. What we would need is Goff and Stroud to somehow come through and give us massive spike weeks when they're not going to run the ball at all, which is very tough to imagine us getting 3 big spike weeks because you need one in week 15, you need one in week 16, and you need one in week 17. So maybe one of these quarterbacks surprise us, but I think the downfall of this team will be the weekly ceiling at quarterback we may not exactly have. Cardinals Steelers Madden 10 was good. But yeah, we will be filming the meetup. I'm going to meet with the videographer for the Flock League sometime this week. I just text him to make sure that he is good to go. But I'm going to talk with him about everything that we're going to need for the Flock League video. And I think one of those things is we'll probably bring cameras to the meetup and we'll have everything there. But OG Jackson, thank you so much for drafting with us. And again, of course, if any of y'all want to get in our next draft, we're drafting on Underdog Fantasy every single day. They're best ball drafts, so no time commitment at all during the season. That's how we draft every day. That's how we've done it for years. That's how we're going to keep on doing it for years. Not going to replace your main fantasy football league, just some extra fun on the side. And if you wanted to join a draft with us, you can find that link in the description, live chat, comment section. Promo code FLOCK will hook you up with a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Plus, at the same time, you'll be getting our 2025 rankings and draft guide cheat sheet. And here are the states that Underdog's in. We need to update this map. Underdog just had to reapply for their fantasy sports license in New York. But outside of that, everything else should be accurate. Last but not least, hit the bell next to the subscribe button if you want to actually come out here and hang out with us in these live streams. And please, feel free to say what's up in the chat. But I really appreciate y'all. I'm going to have a phenomenal dinner date with the girlfriend tonight. And I'll tell her all about how I passed on Mahomes. And sadly, we did not get him on the way back around.